Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, it is a great pleasure to welcome you all this new episode of Diplomacy Break, brought to you by TESPAM TV Enerji. Tonight, we are deeply honored to host Mr. Muhammad Abdullahi Mursal, the first consular at the Somali Embassy in Ankara. His presence here reflects the strong diplomatic ties and growing strategic cooperation between Türkiye and Somalia. As we witness growing geopolitical shifts in the Horn of Africa, Somalia's position as a key actor in regional security, maritime development, and international diplomacy has never been more critical. In this session, we will explore current challenges, bilateral vision, and emerging opportunities shaping the Türkiye-Somalia partnership. We are looking forward to engaging, insightful, and future-focused conversation. Thank you all for joining us, and let's begin. Floor is yours, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, Fatma, and Suleiman as well is supporting us behind. So it is a pleasure to be with you all. So if I start some historical background for Türkiye and Somalia relationship, it is Turkey and Somalia share a deep and multi-faced relationship rooted in historical ties dating back to the Ottoman Empire and significantly strengthened in recent decades. So the current partnership is also focusing on military cooperation, economic agreements. It also started humanitarian efforts, but recently developed as a diplomatic relationships, emphasized development and state building and the security sector. The relationship between Somalia and Turkey has historical, as I said, historical foundations with a trade and military alliance during the Middle Ages between Somalia and some sultanates at that time, like the Ajuran Empire and the Ottoman Empire, they were close allies since that, but the modern diplomatic ties were formalized with the opening of Turkey's embassy in Mogadishu in 1979, which unfortunately closed due to the civil war in 1991. But in the recent times, reopened in 2011. Reopening is marked new commitment, particularly the following Turkey's humanitarian response to the Somalia's 2011 famine. When at that time, as you all remember, Somalia was almost unreported world, but fortunately, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has visited while he was Prime Minister of Turkey in 2011. He visited historical visit to Mogadishu. He was the first non-African leader who took a risk to come the very dangerous city in the world at that time, Mogadishu. It was sacrificed with his family and all of major officials of the Turkey government come and visit Mogadishu, and that time was very hard time to Somalis because the famine, people were dying by hunger, and so Somalis, this current relationship started from that time, and Somalis will never forget that solidarity from the Turkish Brotherhood. While they in need, they don't forget who stands with them. That's why Somalia and Turkey is not only as two countries, but as brothers, and they share history and religion and the culture. So this current military cooperation in Somalia, it is cornerstone of the partnership. Since 2015, Turkey has focused on the security cooperation because Somalia is the biggest challenge now facing is the extremist groups that is destabilizing the country. So Somalia needs to restore the peace and security to start the development. For that regard, the establishment of Camp Turkson in Mogadishu, the military base, in 2017, is the largest overseas military base outside of Turkey that Turkey has established. This base serves dual process: the development location for Turkish forces, and training center for Somali military personnel. So this is, as you all know, the Turkish side trained thousands of Somali national arms, SNA capabilities, key units such as the Haram-Ad paramilitary and Gorgor Commando Brigade has been trained by Turkey, playing a crucial role in combating Al-Shabaab, especially in renewed fighting in 2021 and 2022. Additionally, Turkey has conducted at least 19 drone strikes against Al-Shabaab since 2022, often in the collaboration with the other partners. In April 2023, Turkey sold Bayraktar TB2 drones to Somalia for counter-terrorism efforts, a move that draws criticism. But you know, others who doesn't want Somalia to be restored may criticize. But this engagement in Somalia has participated in stabilization of the country, and in terms of economic and development partnership, economic ties has been formalized through significant agreements in 2024. On February 2022, 2024, Turkey and Somalia signed a 10-year maritime security agreement, under which Turkey will receive 30% of the revenue from Somalia's exclusive economic zone, aiming to enhance Somalia's naval security. So this is, agreement is Somalia gets, more secure because there were illegal fishery around all the coast. As you know, Somalia has the longest coast in Africa, so that it was very hard to secure while the state is not functioning well. So the engagement of Turkey participated to stay away for illegal fisheries, run away from our coasts by the time of just signing. As you know, this since October last year, the Turkish oil and gas authorities are exploring in the Indian Ocean, in the deep sea, exploring doing seismic studies for the oil and gas. As last week, we have signed another pact that allows Turkey to do also hydrocarbonic, onshore. That was onshore. This is out in the land. That will allow Turkey to dig also not only in the sea but also in the offshore. I mean, so Turkey economic involvement is extends to infrastructure, with Turkey company managing projects like Port of Mogadishu and the Mogadishu International Airport, managed by Turkish companies. So in terms of the health and education sector, there are the Recep Tayyip Erdogan Hospital is the largest hospital in the region, built in Mogadishu, run by Turkish doctors. So they did a lot to recently our relationship. That's what can I say as an introduction. But if you have specific questions in this topic, we can have more deep details. That's what can I say, Fatma. I have back to you.
Thank you so much for this explanation. It gives us really historical background and to understand Somalia-Turkey relation with history, by the history. And you said about the one topic that you talked about was it is about maritime trade. Yes. And development. I wanted to ask, how is Somalia and addressing its maritime trade infrastructure with Turkey's support? What is your strategic plan to transform Somalia into a regional logistic hub, and what's the Turkey's role for supporting for this logistic plan?
Yeah, that's a very important question. I think, as I mentioned, Somalia has the longest coast that is difficult to control. And we were suffering piracy a long time ago, since 30 years. And also not only in Indian Ocean coast, but also Red Sea. So we have Red Sea and Indian Ocean. So in both regions needs this security and maritime pact, saying that Turkey will support building Somali naval forces, so that they have to build a base in Mogadishu that will train Somali personnel to safeguard or coast guard on the naval forces. And for the 10 years coming, Turkey will secure the cost for helping until the Somali forces capacity building completed for the 10 years. Now they are it is under process to open that base to train the Somali naval forces, so that it will secure the ports, the main locations that the government can see the threat can come from, whether it is Red Sea region or Indian Ocean. So with the help of Turkey, I think Somalia can secure its coastal line with that pact. And as you know, Turkey has very advanced. It surrounded many seas, so they having some experience for dealing in this regard. So Turkey is the best and reliable partner for Somalia, not only for the mutual interest, but also brotherhood and blood and religion and thought and culture, so that Somalis, all Somalis, whether they are against each other, they all agree that Turkey has no other interest but for Somali interest. So our interest and Turkey's interest is the same. There is no difference between us, so that the Somalis believe in Turkish to build to support building their naval forces and coast guard securities. So that will Turkey also will in return will give income from the blue economy and the fishery and the mineral resources in the sea or on the land, so that both countries can benefit at the same time, simultaneously. They will gain, and that will give Somalia a strong position to build it, to stand its foot, to secure its sea and the all borders, because we have long border with Kenya, with Ethiopia, and that it is very difficult to control it in presence of these extremist groups entering the country without controlling. So I think that this good start from the cost safe, because the logistics that terrorists getting coming from the sea, we don't know who is bringing them. If we control our coastline, I think peace will come and economy will grow. That's why we get this security and economy backed with Turkey.
Thank you so much for your explanation, Your Excellency. And another question that I wanted to ask, you also talked about this extremist group, which is between the border with Kenya and Somalia, like Al-Shabaab and other extremist group. So I wanted to ask, what diplomatic or social strategy are being implemented to protect, especially Somali youth, from extremist propaganda? And is there any cooperation about that with Turkey and this area?
That's the strategy. The main strategy is to educate the youth and give them alternative opportunities. And as you know, Turkey is providing scholarship for Somali youth, and we have Turkey became the #1 for Somali students outside the country. Almost 11,000 students, youth. They are studying different universities in Turkey, overall Turkey. Istanbul is the #1, Ankara is #2, but also Karabakh and other cities. There is no university, but you will find Somali students. That #1, because when you are giving youth for education opportunities, you are minimizing the risk that recruiting the Al-Shabaab and other extremist groups. The other thing, the government have opened this Turksom. This is the Turkish military base in Mogadishu. They are recruiting youth personnel, the newly graduated from the universities, from the high schools, so that they don't, instead of going and for extremism, they have a chance to train themselves and to be soldiers to protect their country. The other strategy is to the newly graduated students. The government have a strategy to employ them because unemployment is the problem, big problem. Because if they don't have opportunities, people can go other, extremist groups can take advantage of them. So where the government cannot reach the rural areas that have no government institutions functioning, that areas is very vulnerable because we couldn't reach, and the youth, they can taken by force or for out of their willing, they are recruiting. Unfortunately, but government trying to liberate all areas so that every area that we liberated, the youth can have access to schools. All go to school. After school, the universities, or they join the security personnel for the government, and that's I think the ways that we can mitigate the risk coming from the youth joining the extremist groups.
Thank you so much for the explanation. When we talked about this extremist group, I also wanted to ask that after this extremist group and their attack that which is disturbing and destroying Somalian security, how is the cross-border cooperation progressing? What kind of the regional security architecture is Somalia aiming to build with its neighbor?
Yeah, that's a good question because, as you know, Somalia, there are African Union mission groups, soldiers in some areas in Mogadishu, the airport, and they are taking some security. So there are good relations with the neighboring countries like Djibouti and Kenya and Ethiopia. Although Ethiopia, we got some problems for the last year. Turkey Diplomasi participated to make Ankara declaration by Somalia and Ethiopia. So we solved, by the help of Turkey, this problem. This problem during 1 year contributed a lot of problems, like extremist growth, because they get some justifications to defend and some propaganda also, and they change even their manifesto as more, like the nationalist slogans. Although before they were global terrorism, no border. But now, after Ethiopia problem, they get some excuse to be, to fight the government and the other international, partners. But after last December, we have made, Ankara Declaration, which is President Erdogan bring together with President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud and Abiy Ahmed of the Ethiopia. So after that, we met because we have the longest border we have with Ethiopia. So that Ethiopia is very important to our national security. Now they are collaborating each other, the both governments. So interborder problem will be reduced, and from the Kenya side also the border is controlled by the both governments, and from Djibouti side there's no big problem. So I think the problem inside more 80% it is the because of Somalia long time ago it's failed state. Now it's becoming fragile, but effective government becoming the effects of the 30 years civil war. It is not easy to get a quick solution for such very complicated situations. But now there are collaboration between interborder governments that can collaborate each other.
Thank you so much for the answer. And also, I also wonder about one point for Somalia, about the Somaliland issue. How does the issue of Somaliland pose both a domestic and foreign policy challenge for the Somali government? What do you think about this Somaliland issue?
Yeah, it does have some historical background, because during the colonial powers, they divided Somalis to 5 main regions. One region colonized by British, which is Somaliland, British Somaliland, which is now they call Somaliland. That was colonized by Britain. And the other region was colonized by French, which is Djibouti now. It was Somali coast before becoming Djibouti. Djibouti is a country, but also it is the city, like Algeria and Algiers, Tunis and Tunisia. Like so, Djibouti became an independent country, and Somali at that time Somali was strong, and they supported to be independent, to get independent, like Turkey and Azerbaijan case. One people for 2 countries. That's a 2 region I mentioned. There are other 3 regions. The Italian Somaliland, which is the great big Somalia, the Republic of Somalia, was colonized by Italian. The largest part of Somalia, which is Mogadishu, and from the Puntland to Kenya border, to Ethiopia border. So the other region is we call Ogaden. They call Ogadenia. There are many names. We call Somali West, the region, the Somali region, the Somali West region, which is now part of Ethiopia, Jigjiga, and there are almost closer to 10 million inhabitants, Somalis, but they are part of somehow like Kurdistan in Iraq. They have some independent administration inside Ethiopia, but that was Great Somalia. And the 5th region is Kenya, northeastern. They say it from Kenya, it's northeastern. Also about 5 million Somalis. They give Kenya one region they give Britain give Ethiopia, and we only get during our independence, 2 regions come together to form Somalia, because the one region as for Ethiopia, one region for Kenya, the other region is Djibouti. So the remaining 2, which is Somaliland now, and Somalia, we call Somalia, came together and united, and they formed Somali independent country, the Great Somalia. They were hoping to restore the other 3 remaining regions. That was the purpose, coming together. So these people in Somaliland, Hargeisa, they are claiming, while we fail to bring the other regions, let us divide the 2 regions, so that because after civil war in Somalia, they claim they got their independence, they turn back to their region to independence. So that is pre-colonial era exist. The problem was exist. What contributed to the status quo now? It's the failed state in the other region, the major region of Somalia, because we couldn't manage the chaos after civil war break, because it is a very large country and people divided into the clans, tribes, they fight each other. So that region was mainly one clan, so they keep themselves to be safe, to manage their. So Hargeisa is the more secure than other regions. Their claim, if they rejoin again, it will be destabilized as well. That's what they are claiming. For the last year illegal MOU with Ethiopia, that makes again the big problem between Ethiopia and Somalia. So they are now they lose, as you see in the news this week. Our Prime Minister and his cabinet went to one part of the Somaliland, that the people is unionist people. They don't want to break away from Somalia, but it is part of Somaliland as the map. But they don't want to be Hargeisa, part of Hargeisa, breakaway people. So that their last 2 years they were fighting for their cause. Now they are free, so they want to join again, part of Hargeisa. So it is becoming narrow. The people who are breakaway people, they are becoming less, not more. So they have no future for having to break away or to be recognized, to be state. The people, the new generation will not allow. If we solve this south Somali, it is north and south. The southern part, if we solve it, and free from Al-Shabaab, free from extremists, and there are opportunities, they will come and rejoin again. That's what I believe. So this matter of the time, and to manage the southern part well, because the legitimacy of Somalia is there, because they have also, although they are breakaway people, their representatives are in the parliament, both Senate and they have deputy prime minister in the federal government. They have 61 in the House of the People, 61 MPs, and there are 11 senators representing Somaliland, but they are in Mogadishu. This is sign of unity. So I think if we stabilize the southern part, they will rejoin again. That's what I can tell you in this regard.
Thank you so much for the answer. I also hope, inshallah, as soon as possible, we will talk about the union of the Somalia.
Inshallah.
And we will talk about the development of the future of the Beak Somalia, Union Somalia, inshallah.
Thank you.
Also, I want to ask one more question. Many times, Somalia officers, representative, describe Somalia's partnership with Turkey as co-authoring the future. In the next chapter of this joint endeavor, which areas do you foresee deeper collaboration emerging between Turkey and Somalia?
Yes, that's a good question. I think the two sectors, which is the oil and gas and the natural resources, there are huge deposits in Somalia, mineral resources, natural resources, and the oil and gas. That Turkey also needs. As you know, Turkey is not the country that has, they have deficit in energy. So the energy sector is very promising and have a very potential to get even Turkey become a very, a strong country by economy and energy. For the, as you know, Somali population is not that much. About we are talking about 20 million, for example. But the land is larger, I think, than Turkey even. The land is very vast, very huge, and the coast, it is the longest coast in Africa. So Somalia also, it is gateway to Africa. The strategic location, the maritime security, the international routes like Bab el-Mandeb and Red Sea. So that sector, including what we have when we were signing this security and economy pact, we mean it to be the strategic one, to exploit our resources, because it is untapped resources in the country, while people are dying by hunger, and they don't know to exploit their resources, and they didn't get that chance. Technical know-how, the technology transfer, that's what we need from Turkey, and also it it is not by accident having Turkey the largest embassy compound in the world. It's in Somalia. The largest military base overseas outside Turkey in Somalia. That means Turkey, they are geopolitically they understanding what Somalia location means. Somalia as a people and as their land, not only as their land or geopolitics, but also that people was part of the Ottoman Empire, and they belong to Turkish. They are the same. They share history, and they will share future, and that's why they are sharing their present time. They are collaborating. That's what is happening. And the other sector, Somalia has a great potential for the food security. Has two main rivers and livestock. It's number one, Somalia. The camel. There's no camel. I didn't see. One time I went to Cappadocia. I saw two camels that they are using like to show the people and having read of them. But in Somalia, in the world, #1, the camel, but not like this camel. It is very big, huge camels, and they don't. Turkey is here. They don't eat camel meat, but Somalia, the main dish in Somalia is a camel. There is that livestock, and like Somalia can be Ukraine of Africa, because Ukraine war and Russia war, the world are suffering by hunger because of the food basket of the world. 50%, can you imagine, was coming from Ukraine and Russia. So this war has affected the most vulnerable people become Africans. We call Africa as a whole, the continent is if there is we can say we can divide Europe and Asia and Africa. If we can say Europe is the old continent, or the vast continent. Asia is the present because of the powers growing, China and Russia and Turkey, and the West are declining as because it is old. There is no resource remained in Europe. But the virgin continent is Africa, is the future. So all world is coming to Africa, and Somalia is the gate of the Africa. That's the main strategic position, and that roots. Somalia is a promising land, because it is the gate of Africa as well. When you are going to inland Africa, you have to pass through Somalia because of the connection. So the geopolitical location, I mean. I think that's what can I say. Turkey is understanding, and what Somali needs from Turkey is also as I said, technological transfer. We need industrial revolution, not only as you know, that country, Somalia, everything is imported from the other countries. Now the Turkish communities and goods, they are everywhere in Mogadishu. We need to process that production in Somalia. So they need industrial infrastructure in Somalia. That Turkey can help also to develop the land, the farms, agricultural and food processing in Somalia, so that to get people as and young people to get opportunities to rely on themselves, and the country stand it is food. That's what we are hoping in our future relations, inshallah.
Thank you so much for the answer. Actually, we can say that in the future, Somalia will be one of the important country for food security. And as we are talking about the climate change and other unhappy situations that we don't want to even dream that, but maybe Somalia will be one of the most important gate for the all humanity to save them.
Sure.
And Your Excellency, you also mentioned that, and many times Somali officers also mentioned that Turkey and Somalia are developing a shared geopolitical vision in East Africa.
Yes.
What are the core elements of the vision, and how do you aim to contribute to regional stability?
Yes. As you know, Turkey playing a very crucial role for the diplomacy. As you know, that last week we had the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, which is gathering around 6,000 people all over the world, diplomats and leaders from all over the world. Africa participation was very, notable at that forum. I didn't went this year, but last year I was there and I saw the people coming from from Africa, and I saw here in Ankara many countries that have students studying here in Turkey. 5 years back, not just 5 years back, there was no such presence. So people are learning the importance of Turkey in Africa. They play the role that coming together, having diplomacy shuttle that making peace, not only development and humanitarian, but also they are having like the recent Ankara declaration between Ethiopia and Somalia shows that Turkey can do peace for the other, even the countries that have getting experienced some. We know the role of Turkey stabilizing and making secure in Libya, and also their role to restore peace in Sudan. They support the legitimacy of the Sudan National Army, and we are much grateful of that, because Somalia and Sudan were very close, and if Sudan collapses, region will not be in peace. So also have a good relations with Ethiopia and with Djibouti, all Africans in Kenya. So Turkey, when there is a need to be, there is a problem to be solved, Turkey is there. So in that regard, Somalia has a good or reliable partner, which is Turkey. In this region, they are participating to be peace, to build the peace, and to understand, to make mediation between the governments that have some problems in historical, because as you know, as I mentioned earlier, Somalia has grievances to be divided in the regions against their willing, because the people of Somalia, they want to be united and to build the great Somalia, whether they are in the region. In that grievances, Turkey can participate to mediate Ethiopia, and if there are some grievances in the even Kenya region, we ask the other governments to give Somalis in that region to their rights. Now in Kenya, they have big positions, so that Somalis can be safe if people are safe in the over the region, so that there will not be a war against each other. Because if we get a problem with the neighboring countries, all borders are Somalis. Who are you fighting with them? So it is not good for Somalia and for the other countries like Ethiopia and Kenya to get in the trouble for Somalis. So I think the border security, Turkey participating to make close, to build alliances in the region. Yeah.
So much for your answer, Your Excellency. One more question we can take. It is about Egypt. Recently, Somalia and Egypt also had some defense cooperation protocols. Yes. And how do you think that Somalia can manage the natural diplomacy between Egypt and Turkey? What do you think about that?
Yeah, in that regard, Somalia also has a good historical relation with Egypt, as you know, both three countries, Somalia, Turkey, and Egypt, share a common history during the Osman Empire era, Osman era. For the first time, maybe Turkey and Egypt has some differences, like in their engagement in Libya. But for the two cases, Somali case and Sudan case, they are same page. We contributed as a Somalis because we are neutral between our brothers, Egypt and Somalia and Turkey. Now we are making diplomacy, as you know, Somalia to play a role that no one can be, can lose anything. We all gain in regard of we have common problem. If a Red Sea become unstabilized, Egypt cannot be safe. So we give guarantees that no trade coming from Somali coasts. The Red Sea belongs for the countries surrounding, not only Egypt and Somalia, but also Djibouti, Yemen, Sudan, Jordan, all these, and Saudi Arabia, all these, region to come together. And we said when Ethiopia proposed to have a base in Red Sea, we said we don't belong, only us. You have to call everyone and ask them if you have access to Red Sea. We can talk Indian Ocean bilateral. Yeah? But we cannot guarantee you a base in Red Sea. Red Sea is a red line because of Turkey and Saudi Arabia, Sudan, even Eritrea has a say, and Egypt. Egypt for the Egypt is a red line to Ethiopia to be has a base in Red Sea because it is Arab national security. Somalia is a part of Arab League, as you know. So there are a protocol that's saying if any state is getting threat, other states should support, because that threat, it is not only for Somalia but also for the Arab security. Muslim security. It is about the security of Kaaba for Saudi Arabia. You know, Somalis were in the history when Portuguese came, Somali Sultanate is Ajuran. That time is historic, but they defend Kaaba from the Portuguese. Somali, that gate is very strategic location, and Egypt can understands the position of Somali. Somali can bring the other dynamics, other actors in the region. The Red Sea region, Somalia has a main role to mediate other rivalry actors in the region. So in the case of the Somalia, Turkey and Egypt is the same page. Yeah, what can I say?
Thank you so much, Excellency, for the answer. And in the last of the conversation, if you sum up, I want to ask, what is Somalia brothers' expectation from Turkey? If you sum up all of this conversation.
Yeah, last time we were meeting with the Turkish Minister of Energy, so that because of the ruptures that have making seismic study in our in the sea. So all Somalis, they are having some social media. They are getting, you know, what you call they are having traditional Arab abaya and you know what you call this egal. We are becoming like kings in Gulf states, so that the expectation of Turkey engagement now is very high. So the minister asking us, how can we control the expectations? Because the people, Turkey come and they produce the oil immediately, and it's not that the case. The case is to be studied and to see whether there is a deposit enough to dig. If there are some deposits that you cannot get in because it's not enough to get even break-even point. They told us they were making in Agdenis, what you call Mediterranean Sea. Turkey has get lost billions of dollars for that research, for that studies, and they didn't find any resource, any oil and gas in that research, but they expand. So the expectation is very high now, but we are trying to tell the media and the people this phase is to study. The digging depends on the result, whether it is enough deposit to be produced or not. But what we are sure, there is enough in the land, inland and offshore. But it will take time, 10 years, who knows, if we get, but the major challenge maybe come from Somalis itself, because they have to do their jobs. We have to do a lot of jobs to secure the land, to secure, like chicken and egg, who is first? I can say, I can answer chicken, because Allah created for the first time human being, then they get job as well, the chicken. But the first we have to produce and get wealth, people. In the Quran there are ayah, Surah Ilah, الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. So food security is number one, not as physical security. You see, if we produce these resources and get enough resources, people can have chance, to think about development instead of having trouble and violence. If they get the opportunities and get money and get resources, wealth, people will love their lives, not to get in trouble, So that's expectations now. But how we can manage that expectation is another very tough question. We will try our best, inshallah.
Thank you so much for your answer, Your Excellency. As in the conversation you mentioned that like our president stand by Somalia in the hardest time of the Somalia. I'm pretty sure that Turkey always will stand with Somali brothers, and they will try their best to support them. And I'm pretty sure that this cooperation will develop and will come to better situations soon. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and it was a great honor to have you in this program. I'm really thankful for that. If you want to say something like a last words, I want to give the floor to you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being with you all guys, and this good platform, TV Energy, and TESPAM group. I thank you for having me tonight, giving me this opportunity to make some spontaneously discussions about our Turkey and Somali relations and the new dynamics in the region. So I am hoping that this kind of conversation will be continued in the future, inshallah. And inshallah. I hope, I thank you all.
Thank you so much. And also we are thanks to our audience that they listen to us, they join us with their question. And good evening to everyone. And thank you again, and see you soon, inshallah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.